What is up, everyone? Welcome to Crypto Blessing. The cryptocurrency markets have been enduring some bearish activity. Nothing new here. The entire year has been some form of retracement followed by slight glimmers of hope in the form of pumps, but it's always retraced. And the past few months, we've always come back to this $200 billion level, with Bitcoin dominance at 54% and Bitcoin's price at 6,300. The most recent price drop in Bitcoin saw it drop $100, while the entire cryptocurrency market lost almost $8 billion overnight. Anytime we do touch $210 billion, we seem to be brought back to this $200 billion major psychological support level. We've yet to really go below that, so it is promising considering how much this market is in its infancy, considering how much adoption and development has happened over the past month, let alone this entire year. This space remains incredibly bright. However, don't hold your breath for any big bull run soon. I've seen talk of it lasting potentially years, although I'd be very surprised if that were to happen. Prior to late 2017, Bitcoin didn't see very much bullish activity. 2017 ended up being very turbulent in the end, but prior to that, Bitcoin saw some sustained pumps that are so small when compared to this big pump are pretty much non-existent in the grand scheme of things. However, if we zoom in, at the time of these pumps, it was considered very dramatic. Of course, not nearly as dramatic as the late 2017 run-up, but it has been pump-free with a couple of exceptions. This sideways action might indicate an end to this downward motion, and for an asset as volatile as Bitcoin, seeing such sideways action gives me a lot of promise. It means that this sell pressure has lifted and we might be ushering in a new bull run. Although, do not hold your breath. I cannot stress that enough. Imploring patience in this market is really your ticket to success. Do all of your own research. Make sure to formulate your own decisions and use cryptocurrency content channels like this to keep yourself up to date on the ebb and flow in this space. Lately, there's been a lot of positive development in this space, with big public figures like Tim Draper coming forward and saying he still believes Bitcoin's going to hit $250,000 by 2020. As interviewed by alternative media television. Love him or hate him, he did get a good interview out of Tim Draper, who also believes a Bitcoin ETF is going to get approved in 2019. Also, another big figure to come forward is Kim.com. Kim.com a few months ago publicly said on Twitter that you should be buying Bitcoin and gold and staying away from fiat. Well, he has reiterated that statement, going on Twitter yet again and saying the US empire now pays $500 billion in interest payments per year to service its debt. US debt increases by $1 trillion per year. It's a death spiral that cannot be undone. Self-destruction and a USD collapse are unavoidable. Get out of USD and US stocks. Buy gold and crypto. And it does not take a rocket scientist to have a look at not only the Dow 30, the Nasdaq Composite, the S&P 500 to realize that the stock market has just very recently seen a deep retracement, losing about 2,000 points in the course of October. The Nasdaq Composite isn't any better, seeing a very similar trajectory. The S&P 500 is another one that has suffered dramatically as well. Canopy Growth and Aurora Cannabis, because marijuana was just legalized here in Canada, it's seen such a dramatic increase. Marijuana stocks are one of those things that are booming right now. A lot of people are trying to get ahead of the curve in regards to adoption of legal marijuana. And investing in not only Canopy Growth, but Aurora Cannabis as ACB is really seen right now as progressive forward thinking. Nevertheless, they are subject to the traditional ebb and flow. And when significant traditional indexes suffer, like what the Dow is experiencing, like what all of these assets I just showed you are experiencing, naturally the rest of the market will go with it. Much like when Bitcoin rises and falls, the rest of the cryptocurrency market is very much dependent on it. The big difference, of course, is that Bitcoin dominance remains at 54%. Over half of this market is Bitcoin, and that's just not the case in traditional markets. It's much more diverse. There's a much wider spread, but as time goes on, the list of cryptocurrencies continues to get bigger. Tim Draper also said that he only feels there's going to be a handful of assets in the long term. By 2020, he thinks there might be 5 or 6. The rest of the over 2,000 assets that are listed on CoinMarketCap, keep in mind, asterisks, the assets that are listed on CoinMarketCap, the 2,085 of them is not the entire cryptocurrency market in itself. This is a mere reflection of the top assets, the top 2,085 assets in this space, and is, in my opinion, a tip of the iceberg analogy. There are so many assets in development that are just coming online, that are just in the brainstorming phase, that are going to increase this overall space, but they may not be reflected on CoinMarketCap. It's a wild west. Anybody can start an asset for any number of reasons, and some of them are wildly successful despite lacking any real big players or any use case. Doge is a perfect example of a meme coin that wasn't supposed to be anything and ended up being something. Some would argue that Verge is in the same category as Doge, simply because Verge is a fork of Doge Dark. The fact of the matter is this space is still very much being worked out, and the future is anyone's guess. Moving on, October 31st is Bitcoin's 10-year anniversary. Eric Voorhees on Twitter said, an incredible anniversary for one of the most important human creations in history. Today marks 10 years since Satoshi's white paper. Within another 10 years, fiat will have begun its terminal descent. Cheers to you, Mr. Nakamoto, and thank you. And he goes on to share another tweet by Vijay Boyapati, who says Satoshi's creation is the most important innovation to money in 1,000 years. Very few people understood Bitcoin when it launched. 10 years today, the market capitalization stands at over $100 billion. This entire year, 2017 and beyond, marks very crucial times in the cryptocurrency space, and I am honored to be a part of it. You should be as well. All of us will be considered early adopters. We are ahead of the curve. Much like people investing in marijuana stocks, Canopy Growth, Aurora Cannabis, because of the looming, booming marijuana industry, many people are also jumping on board with cryptocurrencies and decentralized assets, whether or not there's 5 or 6 assets in the long run, or over 100, or like it is right now, in the thousands. I will be a part of its growth. I will be a part of the mainstream adoption, not only in my personal life, based on my own personal philosophies, but here on YouTube, bringing you the weekly news as it happens. So continue to follow the content here at Crypto Blessing as I continue to bring you up to date with 1 to 2 videos every week. We're going to take the time to review all of the news in an unbiased and as honest way as possible. If you've made it this far, make sure to hit that like button. Let's go for 100 likes on this video. If you haven't already, make sure to subscribe and click the white bell notification button so you don't miss out on any of the content. There's so much more news in this space that happens every day. Not all of it gets reported on, but just know that this space is rampant with development and the future remains very bright. Hang in there, continue to fight this good fight. We are onto something big here, while at the same time imploring patience. I know that's a bit of a paradox, but it is what it is. This is the way it goes in emerging spaces, and you should feel honored, as I do, to just merely be a part of it and watch it all unfold. Thank you once again for watching Crypto Blessing, and I'll see you all in the next one.